Good morning, everyone. My name is Hart, and welcome back to the weekly Monday Trials Yapping Sesh. Today is Monday, and we are just starting out with week 7 of season 3 in Ark Raiders. And today, or rather this week, we have a brand new trial, which I will show you in a second. But before we do that, I want to show you something neat. A few days ago, Embark published this. Not sure if you have seen this. It hasn't exactly made its round on social media, mainly because there are also very good alternatives to this. But this is the official map conditions event tracker. And on screen here, you can see all of the active map conditions which are up this week. And you can filter by event, and you can filter by, maps, for example. So this is a really handy tool, and we are going to need this going forward because this week we have an infamous trial that nobody likes, but Embark insists on us doing this on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So, without further ado, let's start with our first trial. Our first trial for the week is Get Hit by Lightning. If this is your first rodeo, well, I feel sorry for you. Or, honestly, I feel sorry for everyone. I feel the most sorry for those who have to do this on a repeat. We did this, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was a terrible trial. This is primarily just a resource check, if you ask me. You go to any Electrostorm map condition or map with a Electrostorm modifier, and you look for lightning strikes, and you take lightning damage. However, people quickly found out that the best strategy for this is to not have a shield equipped. If you just take raw damage, you get way more points than if you take a shield and raw damage, because shield health does not count toward this trial. So my best advice for any of you out there, bring a shield for, security measures, but do not have the shield equipped unless you feel threatened in any way. But go to any map. My favorite map for this is, honestly, Dam Battlegrounds, because the rooftop here on the testing annex is a very good location for farming lightning strikes. I believe there's a ladder around in this area which takes you to the rooftop. If you're lazy, just bring a snap hook. However, bring a zip line, because there's an upper section of the roof here which is inaccessible. So bring a zip line and a snap hook, or just take the ladder and use this area to farm lightning strikes, because this area is relatively inaccessible. If you're standing out here in the Red Lakes, anyone can take a pop shot. And yesterday, especially yesterday, was a super hostile session of Ark Raiders. Everyone was just super aggressive. Even though I did the surrender 5 times strategy and didn't shoot anyone, people are just become more and more aggressive in this game. So take security measures, find secluded areas, and a good alternative is maybe around water towers. Just any area in the outskirts should serve you well. But the top of testing annex is a personal favorite. Good alternatives are probably Spaceport, any map that is open and flat. Spaceport has a lot of flat area in the outskirts, which is ideally where you want to be if you're going to take lightning damage. Departure building is maybe good, just be careful about the Rocketeers and other flying arcs surrounding this area. But the outskirts here, super good. But, as mentioned, my favorite is testing annex. So, best of luck with that. Oh yeah, and bring healing items. Bring a bunch of healing items. I would say bring a combination of healing items. Vita Spray is really good to just top off that last bit of health. Herbal bandages or Vita Shot or anything to heal big chunks. And you can also bring regular bandages for just small wounds here and there. But herbal bandages, Vita, Vita Spray, etc. Bring everything you have. The container drops on Close Scrutiny gives you a lot of healing items. And I believe, if I remember correctly, the Hurricane loot caches also do that. However, my best suggestion if you need healing items is either just buy them outright. That's going to be much easier. Buy Great Mulane from Celeste, or just do a Mulane run and just craft herbal bandages and just bring a ton. Because as mentioned, this is purely like a stash value check. So the biggest sweat lords with the most amount of time on their hands are going to exceed in this trial. But you can too, if you just remember the basics. Bring as much healing as you can, and do not wear a shield when the lightning strikes you. That way, you can get up to, I believe, 1800 points per lightning strike, which means only 3 lightning strikes are necessary to get your 3-star. But if you want those crazy amount of points, you are going to have to walk the walk, so to speak. So, best of luck with that. Our next trial, destroy arc enemies in the swamp. Now this one is super straightforward, but with get hit by lightning, it does require some extra steps if you want a juicy score, so to speak. So the swamp is obviously this whole area. The swamp is massive, so you have a lot of wiggle room. You can patrol, or I mean rotate around this entire swamp. And the good thing is, for example, if you are in the swamp and you see a Rocketeer by Control Tower, you can, for example, aggro the Rocketeer over to you. Because as long as you are in the swamp, you get points for damaging even arcs that are outside of the swamp. And even better when you can invite them into the swamp. So if you have a good vantage point in the swamp, you can easily just aggro arcs from outside the swamp into the swamp to get those extra juicy points. My map condition of choice is not really any specific, just Hurricane, Night Raids. I believe Cold Snap is out of rotation according to the map event tracker. So Night Raid, Electrostorm, or Hurricane are going to be your best bet. And by extra steps, snitch scanners. I know snitch scanners are super duper boring to grind, but they will absolutely provide you with some extra security and some extra guaranteed points. So if you have time on your hands, or if you want this to be as pain-free as possible, go to, for example, Spaceport and just sit by Launch Tower and just aggro any snitches that patrol the area. And take a few stacks, or however many stacks you want, and bring them into Damn Battlegrounds and find somewhere secluded. Please do not use your snitch scanners by, for example, a crowded area like the Dome Complex, or maybe close to the center. Go to the outskirts, far away from people, and use your snitch scanners, because people are going to take pop shots at your summoned wasps if they see you do this. Or worse, they're going to kill you and take your scanners. So go away from people, use your snitch scanners, summon wasps, and get some free points. So for weapons, you know, it's nothing fancy. For this trial, I just bring a Anvil and Renegade, and the Survivor Mark III. Those are my go-to with a medium shield. It's my go-to for almost anything. So remember, swamp, any map condition, bring snitch scanners to make your life a lot easier if you do have the time to do so. If not, you can easily rack up 4k points to get those 3 stars without it. Alright? Moving on. Damage Bastions. Now, Damage Bastions is... yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It can be a bit frustrating if you don't get the spawns, the Bastion spawns. However, Bastions can be killed on, or found on almost any map. It can be found on any map. However, not every map is viable for this trial. We have 2 really viable options for this trial if you want to get those really good scores. So our 2 maps for this are going to be Spaceport and Dam Battlegrounds. My favorite here is Dam Battlegrounds, but Spaceport works really well too. Our Bastion spawns are as follows. We have 1 by Pipeline Tower, and we have 1 in the Dome Complex. So if we take Night Raid or Electrostorm as an example, we have these 2 spawns which are almost guaranteed at all times. So what you want to do is, for example, if the Bastion spawns first in the Dome Complex, you take that one out, you rotate the Pipeline Tower. Whenever that spawns, you take that one out and you rotate back to Dome Complex. The good thing here is that you can easily see from the Dome Complex whenever the Bastion falls from the sky, and vice versa. So what I like to bring here is the, as mentioned, the same basic cowboy loadout, survivor mark, anvil, renegade, etc, etc. Bunch of adrenaline because you are going to be rotating, as mentioned, a lot. So make that rotation a bit quicker and less painful, especially if you have some nasty competition. And if you can, I like to bring deadlines. Deadlines are such a good tool for quickly taking out the Bastion. You break the leg joint with, for example, the anvil. That's 5 shots to the knee joint. You run around. You mount the deadline on its ass or on top of its head, and you move on. Take the loot if you want. I like to do that because, you know, you want to make this worthwhile. If you've been living under a rock, this season they changed the crafting requirements for deadlines. So you need Comet Igniter to craft the deadline. So keep that in mind. If you don't have deadlines, you can easily just, you know, break a leg joint and burst the back canister and eventually the core. I like to do that with a Stitcher, actually. The Stitcher works surprisingly well if you can get a direct hit on the Bastion. It just bursts out a bunch of damage really quickly. Arpeggio is also a good alternative. We're talking like cheap alternatives. I mean, I know you can bring a Bobcat or a Bettina or, you know, Hullcracker or whatever. But, you know, cheap and effective and reliable wins long term. So keep that in mind. Moving on to our next trial. I hate this trial. Search supply drops. I go for the minimum. I go for the bare minimum here, because this one is hard capped at 9.6, I believe. I haven't really done this enough to like fully confirm it's hard cap, but I know that the hard cap is somewhere in the ballpark of 10,000. 9.6 is what I saw the other day. So search supply drops. My strategy here is to make it as simple as possible. I don't care about a big score here because, as mentioned, hard capped. If the trial is hard capped, do not bother repeating it because it's just not worth it. So what I want you to do is, drum roll, Buried City Night Raid. The good thing about Buried City Night Raid supply drops is that if you're standing on top of, for example, Library or research or whatever, you can see almost the entire town. And the supply drop stations are on rooftops, which means if you're standing on research, you can see the supply drop here, you can see the supply drop on top of library, etc, etc. So that makes it very easy to spot where you need to go to call in the supply drops. But do keep in mind, if the supply drop has been called in, it has been looted, it doesn't matter. All you really need to do is just open the supply drop case and just have a look. You just need to search it. So keep that in mind. Buried City, Night Raid, use the official map event timer to plan your strategy. Alternative is, you know, any other map, but Buried City is excellent for this because Buried City is a small, condensed map, and Night Raid makes it much easier to see the light bulb, because you can see on the supply drop station whether or not the supply drop has been called in, because the light bulb on top will light up, which also makes it much easier to see on Night Raid, obviously. So, moving on to our last trial for the week, Damage Comets. Now, Damage Comets is, I believe, a brand new one. I can't remember, unless I'm suffering from dementia or something. I believe this one is brand new. So the community hasn't exactly mapped out a super reliable strategy, but come on, comets spawn everywhere, like everywhere. So my plan of attack here is, drum roll, I'll try to combine this with Swamp. That's my plan of attack for that one. If you, for example, go to the Swamp on Hurricane, the Swamp is chock full of comets. I remember back when the Comet first came out, for some reason, Blue Gate on Hurricane was chock full of comets, but not anymore. I think they took it back in line with the other maps. But you know, you can just honestly do any map on Hurricane and probably find a bunch of comets. But to keep it easy, I'll go to either Spaceport Hurricane or Damp Battlegrounds Hurricane, because these are flat and open maps, which makes it just easier to navigate around. So, and of course, to quickly take down the comets, you can, for example, two-shot it with a Hull Cracker. You can use a Secret Grenades. You can use almost anything to take out the comets. You can even take it out with a Pharaoh and Stitcher, which I showcased back when the update first came out. But the gist of taking down the comet is to hit the very core, because when the comet sees you, it will open up. It will expose itself for some reason, and that's when you really start to hammer down on the comets. When fighting comets, it's really nice to have something with a lot of burst damage available. For example, like the Stitcher or even the Kanto. If you have an Anvil and a Stitcher, you can very reliably take down comets in 1, 2, 3. So, this week looks honestly not that challenging, except for get hit by lightning, because this trial is fun. This trial is fun. This trial is probably fun. This trial stinks, but Buried City makes that a whole lot easier. And this trial is just dog water. It's so awful. So, all I have to say to you is best of luck. And what are your thoughts about this week's trials? And how did last week's trials go? I would love to hear that in the comments down below. My name is Hart, and thank you so much for watching. And remember to like and subscribe if you find this content valuable. And if I'm live at this very moment, please stop by and say hi. I will probably be grinding trials if you see me live, so stop by and say hi. My name is Hart, and thank you so much for watching, and happy raiding.